the coming of the Son of Man be. Then shall two be in the field, the one shall be taken, the other left. Two women shall be grinding at the mill, one of them shall be taken, the other left. Watch therefore, for ye know not what hour your Yahweh will come. But know this, that if the good man of the house had known in what watch the thief would come, he would have watched, and would not have suffered his house to be broken up. Therefore be ye also ready, for in such an hour as ye think not the Son of Man cometh. Who then is a faithful and wise servant, whom his Lord has made ruler over his household to give them meat in due season? Blessed is that servant whom his Lord, when he cometh, shall find so doing. Verily I say unto you, that he shall make him ruler over all his goods. But if if that evil servant shall say in his heart, my Lord delayeth his coming, and shall begin to smite his fellow servants, and to eat and drink with the drunken, the Lord of the servant shall come in a day when he looked not for them, and in an hour that he is not aware of, and shall cut him asunder, and appoint him his portion with the hypocrites. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth.
Hallelujah. Very good, Teresa. Very good.
You can see why a sounder ain't going to make statements like, I want to just be found doing.
Yeah.
When you've been given this great and glorious gospel, you've been given it for a reason. You okay, Doc?
Just the scripture kind of broke me up, at the very beginning when it talks about if we're not careful, we will hate our brothers. I feel as though with me that's almost impossible because I work diligently to remove hate from me. I had two old classmates to visit me a couple of days ago, and one of them, both of them, father and son. The father looked like he had been shot through a cannon, or was lost on an island where there was no place to bathe nor shave. And the son was born in a school, and I listened to him ask me to, Yahweh gave power to God and God did this. And I looked at him and I didn't want to chastise him for the simple reason Glenn didn't chastise us. I mean, the founder didn't chastise you either. He threw a blanket and a net that covered the whole world. And if you found yourself in that net, then you recognize that scripture meant for you. But the way they had looked, I kept asking, if Glenn was alive, they wouldn't have come to my house looking the way they did. And was it an excuse that he's not around, that they could do whatever they please? And I didn't want to get into the chastisement with them because I didn't want to drive them any further into the hole that they're in. And this scripture talks about what happens in the latter days. So that's what I took it pretty personal anyway. Thank you, Teresa. But anyway, that's what it's...
Well, and I think that's been a topic
so many things that you have to be aware of, that the net is pretty large.
Well, and I think that's one of the biggest topics that's been going around like the past 2 months is like the judgment, how we shouldn't be there judging people, that we should be coming to people with love, and that we all fall short. Not one of us are perfect, that our mountains are our own mental blocks that we have to go through day out and day in on hate and envy and love, all those things that, that aren't supposed to be taking up space, in our minds.
Yeah.
And I think that's a lot of what Gabe was going over today, too. And that's why I was like, man, he hit that on the nail. Like, because it's a lot of things that we go through, like that hate. I think it's Galatians, the 5th chapter. And it's like one of my favorite chapters because we always listen and what does Yahweh like? Well, he likes us to love one another, to be there for another, do this and do that for one another. But what does he not like? It's a relationship. So we want to know his likes and dislikes. And Galatians 5th chapter talks about all that kind of stuff, like, the hatred and and whoever has that, and we're not the ones to judge. He's the judge. We're supposed to just be there for people. If they're going through something, reach out a hand, like, is there anything I could do? What's going on? It's like, because we all have our own struggles. It's not like us compared to the next man. We can't do that because it's to each its own. We all have those things to where, we all fall short.
I think in my situation with this guy and his son is that I remember him very clearly. Glenn's motto was this. I mean, he stuck to it. If you gave him 10 cars or 10 bicycles or 10 televisions, if you gave it to him, he was thankful that you gave it to him, for him not to give it away to someone else. You gave it to him. And this guy was mad with, stupidly, mad with Glenn because he had 3 or 4 televisions and he didn't have one. I never forgot that. But I still see the remnants of that between him and his son. His mother died recently, and he was cursing her to me maybe a couple of months ago before she died. And I kept explaining to him, you cannot curse your mother about something that belonged to her. Just because she won't give it to you or share it with you, that don't mean she don't care about you, and you don't give her any excitement to want to give it to you. So what do you expect? But anyway, so but you sometimes you chastise a person and it don't go right. I don't want to push him any further in the hole, but I hope Yahweh will find a way to explain to him where he was supposed to be. And that if you ever listen to the tape, found this lecture on, it was a men's meeting and one of a women's meeting. I mean, he makes it very clear. He started off saying about, I didn't teach you, people see you outside smoking cigarettes and they think that we teach that in here. Well, cigarettes don't have nothing to do with it. Cigarettes, what he's talking about is your behavior. Another person could be lost by staring at you and your behavior when you're telling them something about the gospel. Who gave you the right to tell me that when you're doing this, that, and the other? Well, he was telling you that you have to be careful about what you say and what you do in the presence of others that you're trying to preach to or you desire to preach to. Well, my desire is to be a beacon of light that Yahweh have given to me. I recognize where that light was, and I'm happy about it. Not that I'm any better than the next man, but I don't want to cause them to stumble over something that I'm doing.
Right.
So when his mother died, he went to the house looking for her inheritance. When there was no money left and the 2 sisters took all the money, he was mad. It wasn't none of her money. The mother left it to who she wanted to leave it to. uh, but anyway, so much for that. And then someone in a class in Florida contacted me, and I was trying to find a way to contact them back, but not get involved in their personal problems without. Anyway, so much for that. You know, we do best to hold our own. And not mean anybody any demise or bad things. I see the world traveler have arrived.
Oh gosh, I'm sorry, Bernard. I was asleep. I overslept, you guys. I'm sorry. Hey, I had such a running week. Hey, I'm here.
I'm only teasing you, Chief.
Yeah, I'm here. Mercy. Anyway, I still got a few more to go. Hey. So how's everybody doing? Glad.
Hanging
I'm
in
glad.
there.
How you do? Oh, Bernard, that's right. You're packing, aren't you?
Yes, I was trying to. I was trying to make sure that I didn't wind up like Vince said. You're expecting Yahweh to wind up find favor in you when you don't find favor in Him.
Oh boy. Yeah.
So I've got to pay these guys $1,500 to come and move me, and I said I want to have everything for them to pack away. I don't want to be packing it away myself and paying them to move it. But anyway.
Renard, where are you moving to?
I'm moving. I live out at the beach in Santa Monica, and I'm moving inland to a community that's probably pretty much where the black people of business and those that have own corporations and work with the government and all that other stuff. This is called Lamert Park.
Nice.
And, if you're familiar with it, that's the gathering hole. So I'm moving pretty close, right at the edge of that area.
Okay.
In Los Angeles, and so my daughter can go 2 blocks and catch the train and go into Santa Monica to her college. They give her about a $1,500, $2,000 grant, something like that, every quarter, every semester, and she don't have to pay it back. And I'm trying to get her to finish her college, so I had to find something where she could catch the train and go directly to school.
Nice.
And then my wife don't wanna go too far away from her jobs, so I chose a place that gave them the opportunity to do what they have to do. It's a nice area, you know. It goes from in Santa Monica, you may find like it's almost summer, beginning of summer. School is coming out, it's closing. The place would be full of tourists every year. You can see them going to the beach and going to the pier. And I never like to go anyway because the sand is dirty, it's hot, and I don't like the salt water, so it's on Jaws. But anyway, it's okay. But the other area is nice. You can find a nice barbecue joint. You can find fried fish. You can find all the stuff that you liked about your eatings out.
Sounds wonderful.
Yeah.
Sure beats the hell out of up here because everything closes at 6:30, 7, at 8 o'clock. And you can't get nothing after that, so you're going to have to cook, baby. Cook.
I think the restaurants and the hotels still open they're still pretty late here because some of the people here in Santa Monica pay between $4,000 and $11,000 a month rent. So And for an apartment. I don't need for a house. For an apartment.
Or in ours.
Yes, ma'am.
Yours is the tourist section, so it stays open much later.
Yeah, they stay open late. You can see them 11, 12 o'clock in the middle of the night walking toward the hotel.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But anyway, it's Yahweh has saw fit for me to be happy and comfortable, so I have no axe to grind. Whatever way that He desires for me to go, I'm prepared to do that.
I am too. So I'm here.
I'm glad that you're here, Chief, and that your family is fine. How's your daughter doing?
She's doing much better this time because they had to give her 2 pints of blood and all that. She stayed in the hospital 3 days. So I'm still trying to figure out what the hell it is that she has.
It's still
they call it AL something another, and that her body produces too much protein. So anyway. That's it.
I was explaining to him, David and his son Isaiah visited me a couple of days ago.
Oh, they did? David's back?
He's been back. He's been here for a long time.
Oh. Oh, okay. All right. The app and join us on it. Oh, that's what I gotta do. I'm gonna download this app on my phone. The Yahweh call. That way, when I can sit and I can connect you on the phone. I have you on the computer at the house. So when I'm away, I can get in contact with you guys.
We'll be glad anytime you can do it, Chief. Oh, Gary Cooper's on, Rita, and I told him I might have made a mistake. I told him that you had some lots in what's the name of the town, Gary?
It's the Henderson, Nevada. My daughter lives, but we live in North Las Vegas.
Did you hear him, Rita? Retar.
Gary, my lots are in Pahrump.
Oh,
are you
there?
there? No, I don't. I have lots in Pahrump.
Oh,
I have
okay.
land. I have land with lots, different lots in Pahrump.
I was saying you and Gary need to connect, so Gary can garden one of them lots, get it producing bountiful fruit.
Oh yeah.
It all starts with the soil. You remember the proverb that Yahcalls talked about, seed falling on good ground and bad ground?
Yeah.
Well, we're that soil. He said we have this treasure in earthen vessels. He's the treasure, and we're what? In earthen, or we're from the dust, right? Still the ground. So same thing, your body, if it's not nourished right, or you put food in the ground, everything that's what a plant kingdom or animal kingdom, something must die that we live. So when you talk about the soil, when you talk about planting, that seed has to fall on good ground. The ground is the soil. So the soil has to be enriched with a lot of natural nutrients, biological life forms in the soil underground, so that you can have an excellent garden. And then also organic seeds, certified organic, and also you have heirloom seeds. So, there's a lot to do with watering, covering your plants in the sun. But it's very simple. It's no more than your ground don't want to be out there in the hot sun. That's what happens. Your ground gets dry and parched. Same thing in gardening. And the fact that Yahcalls started in the garden and went to the garden to pray to Yahweh, that garden is important. But the garden of our lives and the garden where we grow our food. Starts with the soil.
And we read the chapter of Matthew, the 24th chapter.
Is that the one we had today?
That's the one that we read. That's the one that Teresa read this morning.
Oh, good morning. Thank you, Teresa. Matthew 24. Got you.
Yeah,
didn't
they
want
had
to.
to suffer through it because I'm not feeling good, so I hope they all heard it okay.
Huh?
I said, yeah, I suffered through it. I hope they all heard me okay because I'm not feeling too well. But I got through
Well, everybody I know is not feeling very good, you know?
Yeah.
One of my son-in-laws got pneumonia.
Ooh.
Oh, God. I'm telling you. It's like, we're being tried.
Yeah.
Trying.
I've been sick since Thursday night, so hopefully I'm at the end of it, but I'm still not feeling good.
Okay.
Hi, Shelly.
Hi. Yes.
Wow. Other traveler arrived.
Yeah.
Look, I'm not. I won't say not feeling well. I'm gonna say wore out, beat down.
No,
and my journey isn't over. I still have two
yeah,
here
she's
to care for.
she's woed out.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, she's really been doing it. Anyway,
Yeah, I thought my brother was gonna give me a break today, but that didn't happen.
okay.
We missed you at the beginning, Chief. We read chapter 24. Not chapter 22. Matthew's chapter 24.
Oh, okay.
Oh, we did that one there. Okay. What did we do last week? 25?
Yeah, we did 25 last week.
Okay.
And we owe that to Jonathan. Jonathan brought it up.
Okay.
Hey, Jonathan, what were they speaking on today?
Oh man, Gabe was on fire.
All right.
Kids got called. Some kids got called up, but Gabe was on fire. Yeah. He was on point. He was speaking from the cloud.
Great. That's good.
Just singing the tune. It's like you know the tune. You know exactly what I'm saying, and there was no deviation from the tune, and it was beautiful. It was. It was very beautiful. I was very, very happy to hear him speak all that. Yeah.
Kind of pretty much what was the tune?
Well, you know the tune, the "We Are Yahweh."
Okay.
Drop all that old man and stay on point. Like stick to the Father, just like Matthew 24. You know, in the abomination, desolation is.
You're doing it again. You're fading on me. You're fading.
Oh man. But yeah, no, like I said, he was on point. It's funny too, because the last couple tapes I've been listening under. Did you by chance listen to that one from Glenn Kelly?
You know what? The last 2 weeks have been so busy for me. I really haven't had a chance to. I've been trying to prepare for us leaving earlier part of last week.
Well, I know that tape would bring you a lot of joy, because when you were sitting there in the audience, I could hear it bringing you joy. Because there was a point at like 16 minutes into the tape, I could hear you in the background, because your voice is so distinct, like the notes your voice carries and how you said, yeah, that's right, that's great.
Which one was it?
It's the one I sent, the last one I sent you in a text message. It's 94.
Oh, in 94?
Uh-huh.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
And that was him. Oh, Oh,
It's
man.
labeled 41094.
Okay.
Oh, it's your voice. You listen to it.
Yeah, I had just got there. I had just got to Florida in April of '94.
Yeah.
So they had to have been at the Howard Johnson's. I'm gonna have to look again and see. Well, I don't. How did you send it? Anyway.
Text message. I sent you the YouTube link.
Okay. Tell me a couple of words what he said.
For one, it's one of the first tapes I'd come across where he mentions the earthquakes in L.A. and them twisting the doctrine which Yahweh gave, causing it. When he was.
Okay. Yeah, because actually before, it was January. I think it was the end of January when they had that big earthquake in California in '94.
That's where he mentions on the tape also about having the vision in Springfield. He talks about pretty much going out. So he talks about being in one accord. He also mentions how pretty much the reason why people following him to Florida was because they recognized what was
right.
Those who were following the Messiah. They didn't go do their own thing and all that. And the big one I wanted people to understand is with seeing him talk about that, and now him being, in a sense, taken out of the way for those who understand the voice, their voice. Because I it's back waiting for another month. Follow after that.
You keep breaking up, Chief.
You know?
Yeah, I remember. That's when I first got there, around the end of maybe the end of April of '94, and they had called on me to speak, and I guess at that time, Dad hadn't said anything, and he was letting it slide where they were getting up preaching that the attributes made up Elohim. And I remember sitting back there saying, Yahweh, you ain't never taught that before, but it put me in the mind of the time when Dr. Kinley did the same thing. People got up and was teaching some stuff wrong, and he just let it ride for a minute. For a while he didn't correct it, and when they called on me to speak, I remember saying the attributes didn't make up Elohim. They just gathered up in that incorporeal shape and form, not gathered up, but that was those angels that actually had names of those attributes that were summoned in, but the attributes themselves, that was the description that Yahweh gave for his own substance, And after that class, there were folks coming up to me talking about, what do you mean? I said, when we were in Pasadena, Yahweh never taught us that. Dad never taught that the attributes made up Elohim, He said Yahweh took up shape and form. And those angels that was declared to gather up in that body, that bride gathered up in that body. And the description of what spirit was those attributes. That was Yahweh describing his own makeup, but they didn't make him up, and didn't make up the body of Elohim, because Elohim was there without a shape and a form in that eternal state. And I remember once Dr. Glenn Kinley expressing it this way. He said that Elohim, Yahshua, in that state without any shape or form asked Spirit, what is your name? And Spirit said, I'm Yahweh, And I just was like, wow, that was just phenomenal. And so in that state, he was there. That was the conception. And then when he put that in corporeal shape or form on, it had to be an adult figure, because he had to be that king stepping into position at that time. Wasn't no growing up to be a little boy. That was saved for when he declared to come in the creation through the Virgin Mary, or Miriam, and that's where he would show that infancy state, and as he grew, the knowledge grew and was developed within him. Nobody had to teach Yahshua anything. He already knew, just as in corporeal shape and form, when he caused those sinews of flesh to gather up around his body after the creation was already made, and then called himself Adam, that was showing where Adam never lost his first estate and not knew that he was Yahweh Elohim. Yeah, I mean, understanding that, how could you go to saying that it was the attributes when we say that Yahweh is all, in all, through all, and that's all? That includes the attributes too. They didn't make up Yahweh. Yahweh just is. So, anyway, that was kind of my inspiration of when I first got there and what was going on. And then Dad got on the floor and said, now I'm going to say this, and you leave it just like I said it. The attributes didn't make up Elohim. And those folks was upset that believed that or thought they did. And, well, they weren't mad at him. They were mad at me because, in other words, I was the cause of him correcting them.
Yep. Yahweh Elohim Yahshua formed the attributes. The attributes don't form him.
Yeah. But he gave you, I mean, when you first would, back then, when somebody brought you in the class, they actually introduced you before they brought you to the class. They didn't, like cold turkey, swing you in there. Folks would tell you the name, and then and about the founder having had a vision, and then those attributes. They would always say it. Yahweh is spirit, and the description for that is intelligence, wisdom, knowledge, beauty, love, justice, foundation, power, and strength. And I mean, and when they would say it, it just, it just kind of laid a foundation. So when you got to class and it was reiterated, you kind of didn't feel like you was the, dumbest as a box of rocks. You kind of had something, you kind of knew what to listen for. At least that was the way I felt when I came in. I had been taught quite a few things before, and then I heard tapes of the founder before I ever even got to class. Yeah. So it was kind of like the children of Israel. They heard the voice before they saw Yahweh alone, or Dad would say the radio came in, and then you got the television. So, and you never even thought about it until, it was said. Like, yeah, you're right. Folks used to sit around and listen to the radio and for entertainment, and then then after that came the television, and that's what the founder would say. Yahweh told it, tell the vision, make it plain, draw it out, and that's what he did. And while you sat there and he taught you, and true teaching is preaching the gospel, and you were receiving that same vision as Yahweh quickened your understanding. And that was the way he had declared for us to get it. You was going to get it from him, the founder, just like he got it from Yahweh. And that was the same as with Moses. When he dealt with those children of Israel, they wanted Yahweh to deal with them like he dealt, in some cases like he dealt with Moses. But when it came to the thundering voice and all that, they didn't want to hear that. Then they wanted to push Moses up to talking to Yahweh. But then when it came to them building that tabernacle, then they all of a sudden thought they had more knowledge than he had because of their past jobs down in Egypt. Yahweh said, you're going to build it like you're going to take the instructions that Moses gave you. Those were my instructions. You either get it from him or you can go to hell. And then the ground opened up, and, hey, that's exactly what happened. Anyway, I'll let somebody else say something.
Went from radio to television to some virtual reality where you walk around in the vision to really point out what you in.
Exactly. But yeah, that's what I call going back to the basics. They call basics them types of shadows, but that was not the basics. Yahweh started out in the cloud with us. In the cloud. He said if you stay in there, they can't do nothing with you. They don't have to come where you are. That's true, because most of those schools, they don't know nothing about starting. They quick to grab a type in the shadow, but don't know how to explain it in the cloud. And the sad part is when they talk about it, they act like they left somewhere. You still in the cloud. You can't get out of it. You can't get out of spirit.
Yeah, that's why it's important. That's why last week I said Matthew 25 and this week 24. It's like that preaching of the gospel, the truth. It's like Glenn said so many times. He goes, and it's not their fault. They've been taught wrong. They got all these people teaching it wrong, teaching them the mistruth, not teaching them the true gospel. Because that fake gospel, what did he say? What he said at one point? He said, "You are not going to teach someone a bunch of lies, and Elohim form in them. Elohim will not form in a man when he's being spoken lies to. So if you got the truth, that's the only thing that'll bring that to that man. And so if you got the truth, it's your duty to share that truth. And that's the parable of the master and the servants, the talents. How that one buried his talent in the ground. And that, like Gary was pointing out earlier, man is like none of that ground. And it's like that talent that Yahweh bestows upon you is the knowledge of Him. And I knew you with your money, and I didn't feel it was mine to do anything with, so I just kept it in store and buried it away within myself. Because it's not mine to miss. It's not mine to confound. It's not mine. So it's like I gotta make sure to just hold it perfect for you till you come back. He said, "You slothful servant." Gave it to you to go use it, to go make more.
Yeah, to multiply it, to do something with it. because this doctrine, no matter how much you give it away, as long as you give it away directly, you will not believe it's not something that can be but more magnified, where it's you and in whoever it is that receives it from you.
Yep.
Look in your mouth, those it says rivers of living water. And it is water. That you that the words that come out of your mouth be mighty giving substance to that soul that you know that Yahweh might quicken in them. Thank you. What you're saying is true. So you know it's true. It takes him to quicken it in them. Like I can plant all the seeds I want in the ground, but only Yahweh is the spirit of him that causes to resurrect.
Yep.
You're coming in fuzzy, Shelley. You're not coming in clear, Shelley.
Is it better now?
Yes.
Yep. No, I was saying that it's like to take a seed, put it in the ground, but it takes Yahweh to cause the resurrection to come about. And all the seeds you put in the ground don't always resurrect, or don't resurrect when you think it should.
Exactly. It's about the fact that you've been given seed, so scatter it.
Because I planted some bulbs one time, and I just thought, oh, wow, I wasted my money. And who knows? About 4 years later, they started coming up. I thought that was the weirdest thing. But it, as they say, the resurrection happens when Yahweh quickens you.
And it's funny, too, because with it, one of the worries that I know some family have is, well, what if someone comes and asks you a question that you don't know the answer to, and here you got doctrine looking like you ignorant or something. And it's funny because as I hear, Glenn was on that tape too, talking about how Yahweh is not going to send somebody to ask you a question you can't answer.
And he said that many of times. And the thing about it, if you conjured up that question or that thought in you to say that said that you didn't believe that you're Yahweh. That's what that told me. That told me that you didn't believe in the power of the resurrection in you, which is Yahweh alone. So if that's how you feel, then keep your mouth closed. I know that sounds hard. It might sound unfair, but this is one of those moments where I feel like, yeah, hey, stop asking those asinine questions. I used to tell us what the expression when you say asinine. He's the only person I know would think like that. And I would think, that would be one of those expressions. Damnable asinine questions to believe. Why would that come up? Why are you worried about what you don't know? And he said that you know. You can't prove and you do understand. As I break it up.
It sure is. It does really. And just be an example. That's the only solution I understand for it. You just be an example and you just share. You do what you know your brother should be doing as well, and you just hope, like Gabe was saying, you can't be mad at those in the school or in like Pasadena, because you have Yahweh ain't gave up on them. That's why they still there. You know, that's why they.
I'm having a hard time hearing you guys. I'm having a hard time hearing you, Shelley. And you're right near me, and I'm having a hard time hearing you, Jonathan.
I realize when I have the recording going, it seems like my microphone is. I have to put my mouth wide. But I was saying, you know, you can't have people, brother. That's like you know,
You're very low, Jonathan. I can't hear you.
oh man, and I got my mouth way up to it.
Oh, now you better. Now it sounds better.
See, I start getting into it, it just want to fade me out. But I'm pretty much just saying what we do, knowing the truth. Those who know the truth, we live and teach by example. We share with all those out in the world, and we have so.
Yeah. Hi, Theo.
Hello. I'm on the meeting button in San Francisco.
You've been chauffeured around. That's.
All right.
I'm on my way home from class.
Okay.
So how are you guys doing? Did you
Everyone,
guys
we're fine.
Look, I'm taking that 24-hour job, keeping myself in line.
I heard that.
Exactly.
And it's been definitely trying these last couple of weeks. You know.
Take a deep breath.
To the point, well, yeah, I do. And then I have to realize, number one, we're all Yahweh. Number two,
that's right, and it could be worse.
And
in whatever state.
Yeah, he chose these roles, and when you realize that, then you calm down and you execute in the role that you're in with love.
And you realize this is just a test. Because this is only temporal.
Look, it's a test you put yourself through, not Yahweh testing you. You need Yahweh, you put yourself through. And so you have the power of the resurrection in you to get you out of it.
But don't forget.
I know. I've been.
I'm telling you. That was one of the the one lady was saying how that she was 12 years in agony, and she realized, that he's an overcomer, and that's what she had. Took her through those 12 years of agony, getting overcome. That was one of the.
Okay.
And he's just
Your
about through with
bad
this
PTO.
so, yeah. The physical side of it.
Right.
That's why we need to be metaphysical.
But of course.
Metaphysical beings are discerning spirit. And we've been admonished to put our best foot forward.
Right. What's your
Because
thought over there, Dr. Vine?
No, I agree with him. I agree with the scripture we read dealt with that anyway. And the thing is that I find that us as a small group do the best that we can to hold our heads up and to be as much of a positive influence as we can be on our fellow man and which way we're looking. And that's the best we can. That's the best we can do. Right. I'm happy about that.
as good soldiers,
Right.
that the war is already won.
Right.
That's
Right.
true.
We are marching forward.
Right.
Right.
And how you want to look moving forward.
Yeah, well, we want to make sure that even within yourself that you're comfortable with the fact that what you do, you've done in love, as Yahweh would have it done. Because sometimes we complain, but when you complain, we have to stop and think about whatever you're doing that with the power and the inspiration of Yahweh himself. It's not your power. It's not your doing. It's him doing it. But, he allow us to grumble a little bit, but then we have to, as they say, get in line and remember. At least that's what I tell myself. Get in line, because you ain't doing no more than what you declared you would do.
Yeah. No, you're right, Shirley. You're right. Yeah. That's what Glenn and the founder taught us is that when we preach in the gospel and you hear no voices, say, "What are you paying attention? Did you hear me?"
Right.
Yes.
You listening? Yeah.
And then other schools get mad when you yell out, "Yeah." They expect you. What are you doing back there? Yeah. When the gospel feels good to you, you're supposed to enjoy it. That's it.
Right.
Yeah. A lot of them don't get that feeling.
Okay, so sometimes when you get quiet, that means you gotta meditate. Make sure you're in harmony with.
That's right. Or you're sound asleep, one or two.
Right. I remember one time I first started coming to Pasadena, and Dr. Glenn Kinley, everything that it was just so elating and inspiring, the things he would say, and I find myself wanting to yell like, that's right, to the top of my lungs. And then one day Yahweh said, can you prove that? And I mean, it was so loud in me, and I was just froze. And then he said, now I don't care who say it, don't be saying something's right if you don't fully understand it, and that means being able to prove it. And that in that moment was one of the biggest lessons that I had gotten from Yahweh. And as they say, I toned it down to, I wouldn't say that's right until I knew how to prove whatever it is I was sanctioning. So, and that's why too, a lot of times when I'd hear people saying, that's right, and I'd wonder, do you really understand what he just said? Hey, can you prove that? How deep do you understand that? Not on the surface, as Yahweh got me like that. Because Right.
Yeah, you got those times where people got it coming out their mouths. That's right, and they don't even know how to prove it. But the "that's right" came from Yahweh within, sanctioning what they heard.
Right. Mm-hmm. What did Teresa say was wrong with her today?
I'm sick.
She's not feeling good.
Yeah, I've been sick since Thursday evening.
Oh.
Trying to fight this cold.
Oh, I understand. Because the weather up here this way has been so up and down, but we've actually got 2 warm days since I've been back.
But the wind
Today
is blowing
and
like
yesterday.
crazy.
Yeah, my mother was sick, and I was helping her out for a little bit, so I think I might have caught what she had. So. Yeah, that's what we get, you know.
Yeah, because I tell you, ever since I let Amelia take those flu shots, she and I, somebody been sick every weekend since November. I said, never again, never again.
That reminds me when my babies were small. I got all 3 of them the flu shot. I wound up in the hospital. All 3 of them got hospitalized. I had 2 up in the toddler area and 1 in the NICU. Like after I got them the flu shot, I said never again.
I don't get them because I get so sick. I don't do them.
Yeah, because all they're doing is giving you the flu.
Well,
exactly.
They say not. They tell you that there's not any live virus or germ in it, and it's not true. They're not telling you the truth. And and then when they do inject it in you, your body just goes too crazy. And so I don't do that, and I can't take it.
Yeah,
it's not good.
Well, we won't be getting any. She won't be getting any more in this house.
No, they studied Amish children, and because the Amish don't do any vaccination, and they found that almost all child illnesses and diseases do not exist in the Amish communities because they do not vaccinate.
Wow.
Well, and they live off the earth. Actually, I said I was looking up a couple of things, and come to find out, rose leaves are really good for tea.
Yep.
Because I said I was gonna, those couple of the days I was gone, some no watering got done, so some of my leaves were dried up. And I was thinking, man, I was just so upset. But now I'm just going to go out there and, as they say, retrieve all of them and make tea.
the petals of the flower and the rose buds.
Right. Yeah, actually.
They're high in vitamin C.
Well, and also the rose hip is that. I mean, the whole thing is pretty good because you can use the leaves. You can take the rose hip where the seeds are and make tea from those. If you dry them out in the sun, and does really good. But that's good for colds and flu. And then the pebbles are edible, and they're like antioxidants as well as the leaves, you know. But and so are apple leaves and the nectarines. I researched all of those yesterday because I said whatever dried up, I'm going to make use of it because I had some parsley, and you know we buy parsley seasoning in the store all the time. So I said, shoot, I'm just going to revamp it, get me some jars and put the seasonings and teas, you know, separate it, and that way I'll be fully equipped for the year.
That's smart.
But the rose hip is really good for the colds. Do that.
Yeah, I should look into that.
Well, yeah, because I said, and then because of some of my beets, I had just transplanted them, and I guess with not having enough water that first week, they were dried out. So, and now they make this beet powder that's supposed to be good for diabetics and stuff. So I'm just gonna grind up those beet powders, beet leaves, the ones that dried on me.
It's good for blood pressure.
Yeah.
And yeah.
And Teresa, Teresa, the one meat I do for my kids and for me and my wife. We're terribly sick.
I could barely hear you.
It's can you hear better?
A little bit.
Apple cider vinegar mixed
Uh-huh.
with turmeric powder, ginger powder, and cayenne powder and honey, and you mix that together like a shot. And you just
You know what?
down
I
that
do
like
that
twice a
tea.
day.
I do a tea of that. Everything you said except the cayenne pepper. I do all
Add
that
the cayenne pepper.
as a tea. Yep. In the morning.
Yeah, add the cayenne pepper.
Okay.
Well, you could always blend up just a pure apple too. It's going to do the same thing as the apple cider vinegar because your body heat will transform that apple to
Regular
what
apples?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, just think your body is 98 degrees at a normal, so you just grind up a regular apple and the body will take it, it will transform it to that vinegar stuff. That's what they say. An apple a day keeps the doctor away.
Yeah.
It will.
Okay.
That's why I say the apple cider vinegar with the mother. When it has the mother, it has some beneficial bacteria and stuff that helps with your whole system.
Okay, apple cider vinegar, turmeric, what else?
Honey,
Turmeric, ginger, honey, cayenne pepper.
Ginger. Okay, got it. And cayenne.
You make a shot of that, like a mix of that, and I usually use like if I'm making a shot for each kid, if I use a spoonful of each of those things, and then like 2 spoonfuls of honey, and then the liquid base is the apple cider vinegar with the mother. If I make like a cup of that, that's enough for like 4 kids. A shot for 4 kids.
Hey.
I do mine the easy way. I buy from a company called Z Natural Foods, I think it's called. And you could I buy the cacao, I buy the beet powder, all of them in a powder form. A lot of different powders, but especially the one that they grow wild in the Philippines is called what's that green leaf called, Shelley? My wife used to cook it with. It's supposed to have all of the natural. No, it's not lemongrass. It's real lemongrass, but it's another name. It grows in Asia. Wow, and it's supposed to have all of the nutrients and vitamins and minerals that your body needs to survive. Can't think of the name of it, but it's instead of buying it in capsules for $30 for 30 capsules, I buy half a pound of it or a pound of it for about maybe about $19.
Well, you got to find out. I need to find out that plant so I can
Moringa.
Huh?
Moringa. It's called moringa.
Moringa. Okay.
Yeah.
Didn't you say the plant in Gary's video looked like that plant?
It might be. Yeah, he's over there. It might be. Gary Grove?
Yeah, because in the text message when I posted his YouTube link, you said I eat this green a lot. A lot of the Philippines outside.
Hey,
We can't hear you.
Can you guys hear me?
Yep. I can.
Yeah, we grow moringa. We grow moringa in our garden. My wife does.
Very good. Very good. Your wife is Asian?
Now you got to get your
certified
moringa from Gary.
She's a certified trained master herbalist.
Oh, very good. Huh?
Yeah, I'm proud of her. And an author.
Very good. Is your wife Asian, Gary?
Is she Asian?
She's Asian? Huh?
No.
She's of African descent.
And she's an herbalist?
Yes, she is. A good one. Saved my life physically twice. I was dying. The doctor told her I was dying of organ failure. Those words saved my life. Yeah.
Very good.
Wow.
I'm going to write your phone number down. I'm going to call you, okay?
You got to follow him on YouTube or something.
Yeah. Huh?
I did.
You know the thing that I appreciate? So, the thing that I appreciate is that on this line, you guys talk about everything. And I like it.
We struck a home plate on the natural foods.
Oh, yeah, I like it. We can talk about the gospel and other things, too.
Well, Yahweh said it was good, very good. So.
Well, and that was the way we were raised, because Dad would tell us about a whole lot of stuff that I learned. We learned just about your body and how it operates and stuff from, in class. He'd bring up all those things, It wasn't, Pasadena was definitely a unique class.
Yeah, people think that may be boasting and bragging, but I tell you this, I used to feel sorry for the people that didn't go to our class for some reason. The founder said he didn't send nobody, not one, out to preach the gospel. Now, what he did, he left Glenn Kinley in charge of the whole state of Ohio when he came to California. He was the only one that he told to stay and do something that dealt with the teaching and helping the deans of the schools in Ohio. But he said, if you desire to, he said, if you wherever two or more gathered, Yahweh will be with you. And that's what I took from in reference to our gathering. 2 or more. We're in good shape.
Mm-hmm. I definitely see that coming from, the outside classes and going to the Pasadena class, just how the drastic difference of the way it's taught.
Soaking up with life and love.
Of course. That's all that's fair. I was so bummed I couldn't make it today.
I bet they had the birthday dinner.
I know.
I
usually take my
weather,
daughter.
you'd be over there.
I know. I usually go. Me and my youngest daughter usually go last Sunday, call the birthday dinner, so I can hang out and get to know everybody. I think I'm going to eventually make my way out there next year too.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
Need your voice there too.
Well, see, I think that's part of it. I need to find my voice again. Because being out in the class, I taught a lot of the love. A lot of what I heard from the tapes of Glenn is how not exactly, but, some of what he was saying, I was like, yeah, I said that. And a lot of the times, I would get before and preach about how I just love. I can love anybody and everyone. And someone got up right behind me, he was like, that's impossible. You can't love everybody. Like, oh, wow. Okay, just a lot of stuff that came out of my mouth always got shot down, and eventually they just stopped putting me on the floor, so I was silenced in a way. So it is just trying to find my voice again in these classes. So, I know what's in me. It's Yahweh, because I know nothing but love and forgiveness, and He's shown me that throughout my life, and it's more of a walking testimony than it is, reading and learning of it. And how He's been able to allow me to manage certain situations and things that I've gone through throughout my life. That He's really shown me what that love and forgiveness and acceptance and stuff like that is. So
that's good.
No.
Look, even our phone session is very unique.
Yes, it is.
It's not as structured as a class, but it's structured.
Yeah, I know what you mean by that. Yeah.
It's a lot of good information.
Very good.
I mean, think about it. The majority of what was spoken of in class, founder, but he heard.
Get back close to the speaker.
I said, when the founder was around, the majority of what people brought up on the floor was the things that they were taught at Aunt Nidabelle's house.
At where?
Aunt Nidabelle's house, Dr. Kenley's sister. Everybody would go there after class, and he would go into further things, and he would break down things. And so the next day, when people went to class, they were talking about the stuff he was bringing up the night before after class.
Look, and remember, they had classes not just at her house, but down in the basement is where he preached.
Yup.
In the basement of her house.
Those must have been the days. I would have been in every single one of them.
Right? Right?
Teresa, there's stories of people staying there to listen, and they got work at like 5 in the morning, and they're leaving at like 3:30, 4 a.m. to go take a shower real quick and get off to work, and they're talking about how they were able to put a full day's work in and then go back to class and not even feel tired.
Look,
I believe it.
And that was Pasadena too, because people would get out of class, and then they would. Well, I know on a Friday night, they go buy some chicken and go right to the man's house, like we didn't just get out of class, and he preached till way hours of the morning. I mean, and they're probably some leaving there way after 2 o'clock in the morning.
That's beautiful. I wish there was stuff still going on like that.
I mean, and then when we had classes in his backyard, they follow him right on into the house, and he sit down in the kitchen or the living room and keep on going.
Wow.
And we would have those classes. Sometimes you wouldn't even know how late it was until you got in your car. Like class starts 11 or something, and we'd be leaving out of there sometimes 4 or 5 o'clock, and you'd be thinking, wow, you wouldn't remember you're hungry until you got in your car. After you remember where you parked, because you forgot that.
Because you're eating good. You're on a different level when you're talking the gospel. It's so uplifting, and you just forget all.
Yeah, but then, look, and let me be honest, when there was drama, sometimes you couldn't wait for it to be over. So, hey, we had it all. Well, some days, man, and he was funny. He was a comedian, so he'd keep you on your toes.
Aw. Were any of those recorded?
Well, yeah, I mean, like most of the classes, but you had to listen. He was funny. He was.
Yeah,
the way he would preach the doctrine.
Yeah, any of the meetings there was no recordings when, like, you guys would have those gatherings. Those personal gatherings?
Not like in the house. I don't think, no.
No.
There's a couple in the house recordings of the founder. There is a couple of Glenn. Your guys' the movie, the Pasadena.
Yeah, Bernard know more about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's on YouTube, right?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Well, I haven't wait to get to Daytona because they have a whole bunch of CDs and stuff I'm going to get my hands into.
I'm going through my stuff today. I found, I think, 25 of them that I had considered a must to watch, and I'm going to see if I can hook up my CD player, and I'm going to try to send a copy to everybody. But the movie, I was going to ask Rita to check and see if she still had the copy, because I've some kind of way either gave mine away by accident or don't have it, and the only person I know have it is Gary Grove, and it's like bowing to the king in order to get a favor. So I'm not interested in doing all of that mess.
And actually, I would have loved to see the uncut version.
Yeah.
But
I don't think I have the uncut. I only have the script, Bernard.
Yeah, but you should have the CD also, because you and Jim had a copy of it. You should have. In fact, you had two of them, Rita, the old and the new.
Well, I gotta go. I'll go find them. I'll go look for them. See if I have them in the garage, because I should have. Yes, you're right. Anyway, oh gosh.
No, because when you was having been there, I really wanted to see the uncut version, because there was some comments made later in classes of things that people said, and you just kind of, I don't know, not being nosy, but just kind of want to know the whole full story on it. Why he had certain things cut out,
Yeah.
and certain speakers cut out.
Exactly. Right. They really peed him off too, right? So,
yeah.
I've never seen him do that. He never did that before. He never ever did that before. But he was angry.
Barbara Henderson has a whole lot of tapes of Glenn, doesn't she?
Yeah, but she don't have that tape movie.
Because
I think only people was maybe that had that was Renard and that, and people that probably was involved with that, like that.
But I don't think Barbara and them weren't in class when we did the movie. Am I right?
No, they were.
They were there.
They came in when we were on Earlham. Remember? Barbara moved in. She moved.
You're right.
Rented from Terry.
You're right.
Before Billy moved.
Because they moved to South Pasadena. Right.
Yep.
I went over to the house to pick up Billy.
But Barbara moved right after, before Billy moved in, because she was renting the house in back of Terry Benz.
Yes. I'm gonna search for the tapes again. Since I'm moving, I'm running across. I ran across this box, and I got it wrapped up and tight to move with me. This time, I got about 25, maybe 30 tapes or something like that.
Now they told me that there was a movie that was made that's on YouTube. Is that the same movie, or is there another one?
I don't think it's ever been on YouTube.
It's on YouTube.
It's on YouTube?
Maybe somebody put it on there.
Who?
I couldn't find it.
I don't know. Maybe Roger or somebody.
Maybe Roger did. They tell me Roger's sick, Shelley. Is he sick? He's sick or in the hospital or something?
I don't know. I would have to call and ask Janice. I don't know.
I think I asked him also for a copy of the movie.
Yeah,
because he was.
Yeah.
You know about the PIDMR website, right?
Which one? Ours?
Not the Asher Aya. The.
Oh yeah. Well.
PIDMR.net.
I've never gone on it, but I did hear they were doing something.
Yeah, somebody hit him with the lawsuit. Got the
really?
website taken down.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh boy.
They hit him with some defamation lawsuit with money and stuff. I guess they were trying to hit the Florida class, but it was Roger that made it.
I know Roger did some filming, but I didn't realize that oh
no,
my God.
He didn't do filming. He was gathering all the tapes.
Right.
And putting them up,
And he changed. He brought the sound up and took out some of the noise and stuff like that. So he's trying to remaster them.
Oh, okay, that's what it was. That was. Wow.
So,
Yeah.
no, they'll do anything to keep you from hearing the truth.
Sure.
Huh.
Look, and they would know the truth if it slapped them in the face.
The movie is on the Aya Asher Aya YouTube page, and also you, Shelley, Rita, Roger, and Joseph Smeltzer, I think Roger, their visit to Philippines. With you, Shelley, you're in the water with the kids and all that.
How embarrassing.
You out there swimming with the kids in the ocean in the Philippines. That's how the one at the Philippines starts.
Oh, wow.
Roger didn't go with us to the Philippines.
Okay, but there
I'm
was
just
someone
an
else
thing.
right?
Yeah.
David and Meltzer went.
They went with my ex-wife.
Right.
No, Isaiah.
No.
Joseph Meltzer was with us. He was you and I and Shelley.
It wasn't until I saw that tape that I find out Joseph was a white man.
Yeah, he's an old Jew. No, this one. Yeah, he's Jewish.
Your background is almost like his.
I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But it was. I didn't go, Bernard. Only person went was David and Joseph.
No, Joseph didn't. He went with us. Remember, he went with us.
Right.
No, Joseph didn't go with us. Isaiah went with Isaiah, and his dad went, which is David, went once because they went with my wife. And then before that, it was Joseph Smeltzer, you, Shelley, and myself, and Donald Barringer.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Was that the second time?
We went a couple of times.
That was the second time when Donald went, right?
Yeah.
Oh no, I guess it was the first because we was in that house. Yeah, it was. It was the first time.
Ocean would splash on the back gate.
Right. Yeah, because we left him there.
Where Shelley was swimming in Johnson and Rita bogged down in the mud.
Rita and I didn't get in the water.
Good Lord.
The kids and my ex was in the water, deep in the water.
How long ago was it?
I'm gonna post a link for the video.
How long ago was it?
Yeah, when was it?
Oh, great.
It was about 18 years ago.
It actually starts with Rita waving to the camera, and then Shelley's out there with the kids.
Yeah, right.
It was like 2000. Was it 5? No.
And we had busloads of people coming every night for us to preach the gospel.
I tell you, I didn't miss a phone, and I didn't miss a TV. And when I drifted off to sleep, that was the best sleep I had in a long time.
We had a whole high school graduation class attend our a whole nursing class attend our preaching to them.
Nice.
And we were invited to give out diplomas and sat on stage to give out diplomas to the high school. But what I thought was so nice is that the parents escorted their children to get their diplomas across stage.
Yeah, they did.
That was really unique.
And the most unique part about it was the fact that they did not physically have computers.
That's right.
They did not physically. They had pictures of computers, and that's how they learned how to compute.
Yeah.
Very distinct.
Teresa, what's your phone number so I can add you to the group chat?
It's 813-751-7401.
All right.
Yeah. Yeah. I felt very good trying to disseminate the gospel and information to the people there. They meant us.
I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it. It's exact. There should be more instances of us doing that.
Yeah. And we didn't have, although it's hot as heck, but we didn't have any problem with the heat. We weathered the storm. In fact, Shelley and Rita, before I got there one time, Shelley and Rita, they had the class in the middle of the street. Didn't you, Shelley?
I know that's right.
But you guys, our kids here have no clue. Those kids had to be in school like at 5 and 6 in the morning, and they had to walk miles. I mean, up a mountain to get to school. And they stayed there until what? What was it? Until 4 and 5 in the evening. It was unbelievable. And our doggone kids here have every damn thing in the world, and they have no clue what's going on.
Yep.
They don't even realize how good they've got it.
Nope.
None whatsoever.
And it gets worse and worse with each generation.
I enrolled at a private school there, and at the 4th grade, they were supposed to be learning a foreign language, playing a musical instrument, and 2 or 3 other things. I said, whoa, that's a lot for a child. But anyway, that's what they do. It's that foreign language and play a musical instrument and 2 or 3 other things they had to learn. I said, geez. Yeah.
It was brilliant.
And they did their best. They cooked for us. I mean, we had all of the food that we wanted to eat and everything that we wanted to do.
That was the first time I actually ever saw a whole pig head sitting on a table with an apple in the mouth. I mean, just like if you went to London and went to one of those king dinners. I had never in my life seen that. It was all roasted with the apple in the mouth. It was the centerpiece. I had never seen that in all my days.
I don't think I've ever seen that.
Yeah, it was laid out just like when you see those old Victorian movies in England, and how they had to take. It was made out just like that, and they had roasted the pig, and a big old huge pig, and it was still on the thing, and they just carved the meat right off right there.
Wow.
I was teasing.
This was this was their graduation party at the high school.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I thought that was just amazing.
And their parents paid for all of their schooling. It was unreal. And the people are poor. You see them coming out of the bushes with starch iron clothes, and you know that the field was muddy as hell. Right. That they was coming through. And then they had their shine shoes when they get to the
they were not dirty, not dusty at all. I would see them walk past. We rented a house on the ocean. I call it the ocean. It wasn't the beach. It was the ocean. And the little kids would walk past. I'd watch them in the morning. And I mean, spick and span clean, and having to go to school and walk in that sand and no dust on their shoes.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. I was, and it was the first time I ever walked in a classroom where the kids actually had their hands folded, sitting on top of the desk, waiting on the teacher. Nobody was saying nothing.
Wow.
Just waiting for the teacher to enter in. And they had the most respect I've ever seen. And, like, they try to show it in a movie, but they had it real life every day. And that was just awesome.
Wow.
That reminds me when we went to Escondido, they had a satellite class out there, and we had to drive through the cliffs at night, and we were late getting there. And when we got to the classroom, you know, it was like a strip mall, but everything was dark. The only thing that was lit was the place where they had the class, because you could see them through the window, and they were just like you said, with their hands folded, sitting there waiting for us to show up to start class.
Right.
That
Awesome.
was amazing to me.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean that control and respect.
Yeah, discipline. Yeah.
But it lets you know, Yahweh, it doesn't matter the environment. You can have that love and that goodness anywhere.
Right.
You know?
Right.
That's true.
We used to have and they came to our class on a bus. We hired a bus driver, and two or three directions, the bus would come with all of the people in it to listen to the class. Right.
It was.
Look, when we got to the high school to see the children, there were maybe about 4 children standing outside waiting. Grab your purse and any bags you had, and escort you to inside the school building.
I'm telling you.
Yeah. And I mean, and they were, yes, ma'am, yes, sir. You know, just it's like, wow, you live to see that.
Right.
Thank you,
right.
Jonathan.
Yeah.
But it's just that I just think that somewhere along the line, a lot of the people have lost their way in how to raise your children. You know, they just it's like everybody. It's like the wild, wild west out here. Yeah.
Well, that is not even a wild. Well, that's just rude nastiness, because when we were kids coming up, we had much respect for our seniors and adults. If you were if you were 18 or over, if you didn't go to school and you had your own house, you were an adult, and we addressed you as Mr. or Mrs. You know, you would never find us children disrespecting, and for the most part back then, you'd be scared if somebody saw you do anything, because they gonna tell your parents if they didn't get out there and grab a switch. You know?
Yeah, they whip you and your parents with you.
And call your mom before you got home.
Yeah, and that's what you'd be hoping they wouldn't do, but that's why you just didn't do stuff out you know, anywhere.
Dr. Kinley addressed that in the archetype in the precept. He said that that's why the kids are like that, because they see the hypocrisy in their parents, and therefore they don't care, and they just let it. So Dr. Kinley addressed that specifically.
But you also see it's all through the social media and all the electronics and everything too that have caused so much chaos, I believe. Like
with the way Dr. Kinley pointed that out with the youth was, he said that it actually showed a heart of honesty, of acknowledging that all the ways of their parents were false, and so they didn't, that it was showing a sense of honesty. Like he's showing the righteous aspect of it, because there ain't no evil in Yahweh. So he's showing that the reason they're being rebellious is because they're already acknowledging that what their parents have are lies.
Yeah, I had that whole rebellion with my father. I was like, I was asking questions about church, and they're just like disbelieving. I didn't want to go to church no more. And he looked at me, he's like, if you don't go to church, I'll disown you. I was like, well, that's not love. You know, it's like, how are you going to disown me because my questions aren't getting answered, and you're going to disown me because I'm not getting my questions answered? That's not love.
That's because he didn't have the answers to give you. That's why. And obviously, you know, he felt kind of short that he wasn't able to provide that for you, I would imagine. Think about it. You know, you're asking him something that he would probably like to share with you, but doesn't have the ability to do so. Because he didn't have a divine vision revelation.
Right.
Well, it reminds me when I first came in, and I was just about 14, and I had been to, you know, several religious, Baptist, Catholic. I went to Catholic school, and we had an uncle that was holiness, and my mom would make us go there, the end of the last Sunday of every month. And then we went to Macedonia Baptist Church, and I travel sometimes with my friends and go to their churches. But it was like once I heard the name was Yahweh, it was like, as they say, like the heavens opened up. Because after all that Jehovah Witness and all that other stuff, my mom made us study. And mind you, my mom didn't go to church. She said that was her babysitter. She said she got us up and got us dressed and sent us to church so she could have the day to herself. You know, and when I heard that the name was Yahweh, it was like, man, none of those religious organizations had ever even told me that God had a name. I mean, I thought God was a name, and that was one thing about the school. It let you know God is a title. It's not a name. Neither is Lord, you know. And how that it was substituted. Elohim, you know, was replaced with the word God. And then Lord, and then in the class they would say Lord, and then they say Lucifer or the devil. You know, like the way they would break it down and, you know, say it like that. And so me knowing or hearing the name was Yahweh, that was it for me. I mean, and matter of fact, it took many of years for me not to get offended when people would still use Lord God and Jesus Christ. I mean, I wouldn't say anything, but in my gut, I was offended, you know, that I would express it to people that the name was Yahweh, and then they just felt so like gala to tell me Lord God and Jesus Christ. And even to this time, you know, sometimes I still just shake my head, because how is it you would not bow to the truth like that? You know, how would you, you know, your name, that name was phenomenal to me. That set everything in order, and I was so grateful that Yahweh allowed me to hear the name and know. Now I know who to give the glory to, and that was most important. And I recognized that as a child, you know, just, you know, well, I figured 14, I was still a kid, but had a lot of responsibilities being the oldest kid. And like you said, with my parents, I learned to allow them to continue in their ignorance while I grabbed hold to the truth, you know, because fighting with them about it was not going to do any good but hinder me from being able to get to where I needed to be, you know, because they didn't want to accept it, the doctrine, and because they didn't want to accept it, I couldn't allow them to hinder me. So I made sure all my work was done. That was one way they got me in line. I mean, I always did my work and house and everything, but I would do it over and above so that they couldn't stop me from being able to go to class or go over to Catherine's house to for her to teach me, because she taught me a lot of things before I ever even got to class, you know. But that, you know, that's what you do. And then coming into Pasadena, I realized Yahweh had guided me right, because I remember Dad getting on somebody one time real tough because they were disrespecting their mother because the woman had been to church her whole life. They wanted to tell her, oh, you're wrong and this and that, and Dad, you know, he didn't care for that. And the woman did actually come to class. The person, she came when she came to visit, but Dad, he chastised that child that thought he could raise up against his mom because she didn't want to accept, you know. But I mean, and that, you know, that's the way.
Most people don't know any better.
You know, so. But hey, I mean, we learn. Look, we learn lessons from our brothers and sisters. Well, sitting in there, you learn what not to do, and what was a good thing to do.
That's right. Right.
That's what my younger sister says all the time. She learned from her older two sisters what not to do. It's like, gee, thanks.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
And truly, we could say he was a father to all of us. Even though I'd hear people say, "Well, Dad Kinley said, well, call no man on earth your father," and he corrected, and Dad corrected that. He said, "Hell, I'm in heaven." He said, "On earth." You know, how are you looking at that? You know, so yeah, this doctrine will revolutionize your way of thinking and understanding, you know, things that are said.
Yes, it does.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Look.
I'm in my house clothes now.
Yeah, we had
Been at home.
in Pasadena, we had a lot of married couples, man, and Dad would go through some of those lessons. I'd be like, whew, I think that's probably why I'm still single. But you had to learn that. And it was a sacrifice, and we'd watch. But you know, one thing you didn't want to do is find yourself mocking anybody
Right.
in that class, because man, just as sure as you open your mouth, Yahweh had a test coming for you. Mm-mm.
He told us this. He says, when you're in the public, say Theo and I together, and say I'm acting a fool. Theo is supposed to take sides with me, and then when I get around the corner, beat the shit out of me for acting a fool.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And we got to remember, he invited, handpicked each and every one of us to come into class.
That's right. That's right. That's exactly right.
It wasn't your or my decision. It was all his decision. It's all on him.
Right.
So if you're doing something to them, you are doing something to him.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Very good.
That's the point.
I think most of them can't understand just simply that.
What's that
Oh,
verse
wow.
that says when you when I was thirsty, you fed me. When I was hungry, you gave me something to drink.
Right.
That verse.
I don't know where it is, but I can remember the verse.
Yeah. I was just quoting it. I don't even know where it's at either, but.
Well.
And like what Whoopi Goldberg said in The Color Purple, what you think you trying to do to them, I already done to you. Okay.
Right. Well, and with that, now unto him who is able to keep you from falling and to present you faultless before the presence of his glory with exceeding delight, to the only wise Elohim, our Savior, Yahshua the Messiah, our Sovereign, belong glory and majesty, dominion and power, both now and forever. Let us all say, hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Thank everybody for showing up. I needed this. Even though all my tiredness, I'm grateful. But now I got to go check on Mom. Love you.
Give her a hug for me, okay?
Yes.
Good
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I call?
Bye.
Yes.
Very good to see you, Dr. Vaughn.
Hello?
Yes,
Yeah.
we're talking.
Yeah, somebody call me?
Yeah, this is
Someone
Rita.
call me? Hey, Rita.
Yes, Rita. Answer him, Rita. Anyway, she said she's going to call you. Is it okay for her to call you? I'm going to call you, too. I want to talk to your wife.
Okay, yeah, I'm going to call you, Gary, and just a few, okay?
Okay.
All right.
Can you call me in an hour?
Oh, in an hour. Okay, I'll call you in an hour.
And I'll call you sometime this week.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right.
Bye-bye. Love you.
Bye, Theo.
And
Love you too, Dad.
Rita.
What? Yes.
I found a good selection of appliances for you, but I needed to know from you if you had a guy that could pick it up for you, or you had a way